Welcome back to the Uplifters, where we share stories that inspire, uplift, and remind us of the beauty in our shared human experience. I'm your host, Aranza Savas. Today's conversation is with Angela, a woman whose journey might feel familiar to many of us. After experiencing a series of profound losses, leaving a high-demand religion that had been her community, losing her mother and watching her father's gradual decline with Alzheimer's, Angela found herself at a crossroads. Rather than letting her grief consume her, she took an unexpected path, creating and giving away free art to strangers. What began as her personal healing journey this January has blossomed into a movement of generosity, with over 750 pieces of art mailed to people across the country. Angela's story reminds us that even in our darkest moments, we can find purpose and connection and maybe even some joy by stepping outside of our comfort zones and sharing our authentic selves with the world. Her message of being present, embracing imperfection, and finding beauty in each day resonates so deeply with me right now in this chaotic time in our world. Sometimes the most profound healing comes giving ourselves permission to create without expectation, to connect without judgment, and to live fully in the present moment. This is the Uplifters. Let's begin. Oh my gosh. I love what you're doing so much.
I will say that this mission has been a little bit selfish because I gain so much from it. I was coming from between 2020 and 2024 was just loss after loss after loss after loss. So 2020, everything shut down. That was my first year teaching. So I lost my classroom and I did not know what I was doing in the classroom. And then add to that, trying to figure out how to do online school. It was a mess. And I messed up a lot. And then I was in a very high demand religion and we couldn't meet in person anymore. So I finally had a moment to just kind of like reevaluate. And religion's beautiful and it did beautiful things for me, but there was just so many parts of religion where I was trying to force myself into a place I didn't fit, into a place that didn't resonate with me, into a place, I'm sorry, I'm getting emotional, that didn't align with my values. And taking that step back allowed me to be like, hey, this isn't right. This is beautiful and provides so much happiness for so many people, but it's no longer serving that purpose for me. But part of a high demand religion is you have this amazing community, people who show up for you. Your friends are built into that. You're there so much that it's just like your entire identity and entire life. I made a very scary decision to leave that. I didn't realize how big of a loss that would be. Lots of the community I live in is a part of that religion. So it was a huge loss. And then fast forward like a year and a half, I lost my mom and my dad has Alzheimer's. So I call that the long goodbye. Every time I see him, something else is missing. I love him so freaking much though. He is my biggest fan. He gets so excited. I show him my little Instagram videos. He has no idea what I'm showing him really, but he's just like, oh my gosh, you're so awesome, Angela. So anyway, just so much loss. And I wasn't dealing with it. I just kept avoiding it. Losing my mom especially is like this huge bruise that I just try not to touch. And I was like, this isn't working for me anymore. I really need to work through these emotions. So this is selfishly like my own little therapy, like to kind of feel those emotions, allow myself to process. Because when I do paint, I shut all those things down and I'm actually able to be present and like poke that bruise a little bit so I can work through those emotions. My mom was my person. She was my biggest advocate. She was my biggest cheerleader. She was my first phone call. She was if everything's going wrong in the world, I would call mom. So it's just been a lot of loss, but this has given me so much. I've gained so much by doing this. So sometimes I feel a little bit selfish that I'm doing it, but it's been amazing for me. I've met so many cool people, and like you reached out of nowhere. And I just was like, that was so validating to me to be seen and to know that what I do, I live in Ogden, Utah, in the middle of nowhere. Like I can make an impact in people's lives in New York. It was just amazing. It's just been this whole healing journey and allowing myself to feel that loss and kind of work on healing. I'm not there, but like at least allow myself on that road.
Yeah. What an unexpected, and now I'm crying and I can't talk.
Oh, sorry.
And no, it's nothing to be sorry about. I relate to so much in your story. I suspect we've all had moments where we tried to break away from what was expected of us or what we knew and felt that fear. I suspect we've all lost someone we love and felt that emptiness. I suspect we've all had bruises that we were afraid to poke. And I think what we get to take from your story is, first of all, just this reminder that we can experience so much loss and grief and change. It doesn't make the loss disappear, but that we can survive it and that we can find new purpose and new joy and new connection on the other side. As much as it's normal for us to fear change, it also is a space of opportunity.
Absolutely. The way you said that was beautiful. And I'm going to steal some words. Leaving that religion is the hardest thing I've ever done, hands down. My sister, my whole family is still part of that religion. So that's been kind of tricky too. Sorry. They've been beautiful and so supportive. Even my mom before she passed away, so beautiful and supportive, just loved me. And that's the reaction I've got from them. They're like, we love you. We don't love that you are a part of this. We just love you. So I am super blessed in that aspect. I know that's not everyone's journey when they leave something like that. But I was explaining to my sister that my whole life, I felt like I was waiting for what happened after you died. I don't know if that makes sense, like for this heaven and for all these beautiful things to happen. And when I left, I was like, oh my gosh, I'm already there, every day. Like every day is just this amazing opportunity to like live to the fullest. Like this is the only March 25th, 2025 I'm ever going to live. And what do I want that to look like? I'm not saying that every day is like this beautiful thing where I make wonderful decisions and do great things. Like some days I just stay in bed and that's okay. That was a good day. It's totally changed my perspective. I see so much more beauty around me and I just feel free to be who I am and be present and just focused on today. Not like when I die, if I do X, Y, and Z, then I might get this huge reward. Like who fucking cares? You're only here one day, this one day. This is the only day that you're going to have. That's March 25th, 2025. That was just this huge aha moment when I've been going through all this. So.
And so hard to do, right?
Yes.
Because our brains tend to catastrophize.
Yes.
And to think about all the bad that can come from our choices. And in the moment, we are experiencing a lot of that loss. And so what I hear you doing is saying, okay, but also what am I gaining in the moment, in this moment of pain? Do you remember back when your mindset started to adapt to the rewards of this?
Yeah, when my mom, her passing away was pretty rough. It wasn't a beautiful exit into the wherever she is now, but it was slow. She had polio when she was younger, so she was suffering from post-polio. Post-polio is horrible, and there's not a lot of research because there's very few people who experience post-polio. So it's just this wild journey, and no one has answers, and the doctors don't know what to do. Watching my mom pass away and not having any like something I could hold on to, like I'm going to see her again, or she's going to be whole again. She won't be in a wheelchair. She's not going to be in pain, was terrifying. But I had this brain shift probably the last week she was with us. And I said, she's here right now. And this is hard. And this is not beautiful. And this is not like this peaceful passing. Like this is ugly and hard and it sucks. And I'm angry and I'm mad and I feel this grief. And I just said, this is part of life, like death is a beautiful transition too, because I don't know if I'll see her again. I don't know what I believe anymore. I believe in Mother Nature. That's what I tell people. I had this shift that I just need to be present, even though this isn't the most beautiful moment with my mom. It is a moment, and it's teaching me something. It's teaching me that you have to love someone even when it's hard and you don't know what the outcome's going to be. I knew the outcome was going to be so much grief, and I'm in that right now because I don't know. I don't know if I'm going to see her again. But then I do believe in Mother Nature. So every time I see a sunset, my mom was obsessed with sunsets. And every time I see a hummingbird, I'm like, hey, that's my mom. And I know that sounds weird. And I've been talking to lots of people who've lost loved ones. And I found that to be like a common theme. Like you find these random things that's like your sign from the other side. I'm still like way in the weeds of dealing with grief and lots of questions.
Leah DeFeo, who was on the show last year, who lost 2 infants, she talks about God winks becoming a really important part of her healing process. Little winks from the universe.
Oh my gosh, I love that. I'm going to call it that from now on. That's awesome.
Part of what we fear in losing people is that loss of connection to another person. And so what you're doing there is you're saying, I'm not going to give up that connection.
1,000,000%.
I'm going to think about them and I'm going to let them be with me on the next chapter of my journey. You said the word selfish a couple of times, that this journey is selfish. What do you believe about that word?
That's probably a little bit of religious conditioning, to be honest with you. But I do feel selfish because I feel like I'm getting so much from sharing some mediocre art. The returns on investment are like billionfold, making these connections with people. And also like sometimes it's just as simple as someone gives me an address, no explanation. I mail it off. I hear nothing, but just the thought of, I wonder what that person felt like when they went to the mailbox. Oh my gosh, it sparks so much joy for me. So I think it's selfish because I have used this silly idea I came up with to validate me. That's something I work on in therapy all the time. I need to learn how to validate myself. But I think it's okay to get some feel goods from other people from time to time. Part of leaving that religion too is I had this huge sense of purpose. They called it callings. So I was involved with the youth and doing all this service all the time. So I had this hole where the church took up so much of my life. And I had to be really careful with that because I know I could fall into this trap of just jumping to the next thing, if that makes sense. So I just needed to make sure that this was truly for me. Everything I did before was for the church's good. So I think it's important to me that this is kind of selfish. Like this is for me. This is something I wanted to do. This is something that fulfills me. This is something that allows me to be imperfect and messy and creative. And, so I guess gosh, I had never thought of it that way. I think that's why I say selfish, because it had to be selfish. It had to be for me.
What a gift to give yourself, and what a self-validation to say,
Yeah.
I'm going to invest in your pleasure and your satisfaction and your sense of purpose. And that's why you left the religion to begin with, was because it didn't align with your truth.
Exactly. And this totally does. Anyway, I could talk about the complications of leaving a high demand religion for 100 hours. So I won't go down that rabbit hole. But anyway, anyone who does it, hats off. You're freaking a badass. So
I don't actually know what a high demand religion means. I mean, I have an image in my mind, but what does that mean?
Okay. So in my church, if you have a calling, you are at church for 3 hours on Sunday, but then your calling probably takes up 10 to 12 hours a week of doing stuff and service. And then you're cleaning the building, you're paying 10% of your income. They talk to you about what you should eat, how you should dress. Every aspect of your life is kind of filtered through the church. So
yeah, I get what you mean then. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it is taking a lot of your resources.
Yes. But when you leave, this is a scary part. And you're kind of conditioned to not I don't want to, because I'm so happy for people who find peace and solace and happiness there. Just wasn't a good fit for me. But for me, it was constantly turning off my voice and then like shoving that down so that I could listen to what the church wanted me to do. So when you leave, it's very scary to listen to your own voice and realize that I can be a good person even if I'm not part of this organization. So that was rough. I feel like I'm in a really good place with that right now. Not so much with my grief for my mom, but the religion thing, I think I've been to a lot of therapy, and I think it's going to be like a lifelong, like unlearning and trusting myself. But I think I'm in a good place with that.
That idea of unlearning is so interesting. And again, something that I have not left a high demand religion, but actually in my own life, I related it to the indoctrination I got from working at Weight Watchers about my body and about food.
Oh my gosh. Yes.
And so it's just indoctrination, right? And so that comes up in the world in so many different ways.
Yes.
Becoming ourselves, our full true selves is then saying, and I mean, we both described things that can both be really helpful on the outside. Whereas certainly that happens with things that are unhelpful on the outside as well, just to acknowledge that. But I think this idea of growing up for me is learning to decide what I believe and act in accordance with my beliefs and what's right for me right now instead of what I'm told the rules are.
I feel seen. Yes, exactly. Like that's the perfect way of saying that. Yes. Yeah. It's been beautiful and painful. Yeah. And fun.
Yeah. And disorienting.
And exciting and like wild. Like I did roller derby for a minute to try and figure out if that was my thing. And I loved it. I suck at it. So that's the risk with me leaving this high demand religion. I had this huge hole. I was like, what am I going to shove in there? So at first it was just like anything like, yo, yeah, you want me to volunteer every day? Sure. I'm there. So it's been a lot of just listening to that voice and trusting that voice. And this feels so right and so just perfect for me right now. And it might not be in 3 months. Who knows? But right now, this is it. So sorry.
That nothing to be sorry for. It's so great. Because what I'm realizing as I'm listening to you talk is that like this process for anyone who is experiencing a big change, again, whether it's due to loss of a loved one or something that used a lot of their time, whether it was a career or a religious organization or whatever it might be, there is this process of like, okay, my resources are now not being used in the same way. My time, my money, my brain. And then there's this whole of like my relational needs are not being met. And so I think what I hear you doing that we can all learn from is to say, okay, what needs am I really missing being fulfilled? Right. So for you, the relational one was clearly a big piece of it. So how might I meet that relational need? And then the thing you're doing that, at least in my research, I've seen be incredibly successful for people is to not attach immediately to the first thing, but to approach this shift with an explorational, experimental mindset and just say, I'm going to go play in this space. How do I feel? Does it feel right for right now? Is it meeting the need that was unmet or is it something else?
Right.
Opening up that conversation with ourselves, we really open ourselves up to learn our way into what's right and true for us for now.
Yeah, absolutely. My mantra is I go in curious. Like I just am always like, I'm curious. And I learned that in therapy. Like that's a very therapeutic term, but like just to go into things curious, like I wonder how this is going to feel. I wonder how this is going to turn out. So yeah, it's been huge. And it fully allows me to listen to my voice and not wonder what my kids think about this or what my neighbors are going to think. Like it's just, no, I wonder how I feel. So it's been awesome.
Amazing that you've been able to tap into that so quickly after a lifetime of being told what to think.
Lots of trial and error.
One of the other experimental approaches that I hear in your story is when you launched this project to send the free art to people, You said, I wasn't an Instagram person. I didn't know how Instagram worked. I didn't identify as an artist. I didn't have a background in fulfillment and operations for shipping these things. And all those questions of how do I use Instagram? How do I make art? How do I do fulfillment? All of those could have been absolute paralyzing questions. What did it sound like for you to say, how do I turn these paralyzing questions into activating questions?
Just that curiosity bit. And also, like, I have anxiety too. And one of the other therapeutic things is like, what's the worst that could happen? The worst that could happen is it would crash and burn. Oh, well, I'm not really out anything, maybe a little bit of embarrassment, but also art. Art has taught me just to rip that Band-Aid off. Like, I used to be so like, I would have to have it be perfect. And it's just even doing this much art this quick, because I have mailed out 755 circles now since January. So the speed at which I have to do it just allows me to like be like, okay, who cares? It's beautiful. It's unique. It's not perfect. But also with the Instagram thing, I was going to wait. And then one Sunday, I just made this stupid video. I was recording all of my art, and you can see it on my Instagram. It's special. And I just like, what would happen if I just push share? Like, who cares? And so I just did. And at first I was mailing out these little tins, and it cost $6 for every tin to be filled out. I was like, oh, I'm going to go bankrupt. There's been a lot of pivoting. I learned how to like print labels using a spreadsheet. Like, so it's just been this like building the plane as I'm flying type situation. And I think if I would have waited like I normally do in my life, I would have never done it. So I am like that's one thing I'm super proud of myself for, is just like, just going for it. Like, who cares? And I posted so many things on Instagram wrong. Like one, I did a little poll, like, have you nominated someone? And I put the right answer was no, not yes. I didn't know how to fix it. Anyway, it's been a wild ride, and I've made all the mistakes. Just having self-compassion and just doing the damn thing. Like, just go for it.
Just doing the damn thing. One of our very first guests on the show, Rachel Lipson, episode 3, said, everybody has ideas. Entrepreneurs are the ones who do something about them.
I love that.
Right? Isn't that so good? And I hear that so much in your story. We all have millions of ideas in our lives, and some of them are super silly. Some of them are super meaningful with unexpected rewards, like mailing a free piece of art that teaches you how to become an artist. It's teaching you non-attachment about your creative work. It's teaching you how to become a business owner. It's teaching you, right? You run an e-com business now. You have learned so much in 2 months' time. And literally those 2 months were going to pass by anyway. And you could have just reinforced everything you'd ever learned your entire life. But instead, you built a freaking plane in the air.
I did. And I only have 300 followers, but I have to tell myself I had 0 in January. So progress is progress.
That's huge progress.
You just don't know unless you try. And it hasn't spontaneously combusted yet.
All the things you described that were mistakes were not threatening to the project at all. It didn't shift my opinion of you.
Oh, well, thank you.
I didn't notice those things. What I did notice was the heart of what you were doing.
Thank you.
And I think to remind ourselves of that is so important.
Yes. And that nothing is perfect. No one is perfect. And that's been a lot of conditioning too. Like, just enjoy who you are today. And that's the other thing that I've had to realize too when I left this religion is every person I meet is doing their best. And their best might look a lot different than my best. But yeah, gosh, no one wakes up in the morning and is like, how am I going to be a jerk to everyone I meet? No one's going to wake up in the morning and be like as a mom, I've made so many mistakes, and I tell my kids all the time, like, I did not wake up this morning thinking about like, how can I ruin your life, or how can I be the worst mom in the world? That was not my goal. I mean, that might have been what happened. It's taught me to just lean into the mistakes and to the process and the learning and just freaking laugh at it. It's funny. It's funny. So yeah. Anyway,
And the laughing is just one more reward.
Oh my gosh, yes. Yes, I can think of so many situations. I have an 18-year-old and a 16-year-old. So another loss that I've had is just like that. I was mom. I was the sun and the moon, and I have a very different role in their lives now. So that's been kind of hard for me. But my son the other day just posted, "I'm proud of you, mom," on my Instagram. And it's helped so many aspects of my life. I think it's allowed my kids to see that they can do anything. Like, even if you're not prepared, like, do it scared. Again, this is kind of selfish. It's been like very therapeutic in all aspects.
When I think about what is right for right now, what do you believe the most important lessons are for your kids to learn right now?
That's a tough question. I think leaving the religion really rocked their world. So I carry a ton of guilt with that. I think the biggest lessons I want them to learn is it's okay to listen to yourself and believe yourself and act on what you believe, even if it's hard or if it feels wrong. That doesn't always mean it is wrong. It just means it's uncomfortable sometimes. I also want them to know that they have a strong mom and that they can do anything they want to do if they have the passion. So those are the two big lessons. And just to love me.
Yeah, I'm learning that from you.
And they should think I'm a cool mom. Like, how do we teach that? They do not think that, but I'm pretty cool.
I think you're super
Oh, well, thank
cool.
you. I'll tell them.
Please
Okay.
do. Please do. What could be cooler?
Yeah. Nothing. Me.
Nothing. You. Exactly.
I'm just teasing. No. Yeah.
Believing in you, you showing up for you, you listening to your own voice. That is the freaking coolest in my book.
Yeah, I think so too. Thank you.
What's the next brave thing you want to do?
I'm super excited about this. So I'm actually meeting with someone today who reached out to me who wants to start sharing their art with me. So they want to be part of the journey. So I have a meeting today. She does stained glass. So she wants to donate art for me to gift. I would love if a bunch of artists jumped on board and we could just make this like a worldwide, let's send free art to the entire world. And then the other thing, I have two. This is kind of my newest thing. I just read a book called Service Berry, and the author had this cute idea of building community. I'm feeling very overwhelmed with things in the world right now. So I just want to make a big impact where I'm at. I feel like all of us can do that. We can make an impact in our communities. So she had this cute idea. I have lots of flowers in my yard. And so I'm going to do a free flower stand. And I've been collecting glass jars. And so I'm just going to put the stand on my corner and say free flowers. And then hopefully anyone who drives past who needs a vase of free flowers can grab them and it will brighten their day. So that's my next big thing. I'm super excited for it. So those are my two big things.
Oh my gosh. And it's so powerful to watch your excitement.
I am like a nerd about this stuff.
You are an amplifier of energy.
Well, thank you.
As I listen to you, I get to feel fired up to do more because you're so energized by it.
Oh, thank you.
And so when you think about how that spreads and the legacy that comes from not just your mom, but through everything you've lived, it is this ability to be authentic. And so it is your authenticity and your commitment that help us believe in that for ourselves.
Thank you so much. And I feel inspired by you. I am like addicted to your podcast because you just bring out all these people who are impacting the world for good in such different ways. And it's always sparking ideas in my head and inspiring me. So thank you. Thank you for being an uplifter too.
Thank you. Let's all keep lifting each other up because you're right. There's so many stories we can listen to right now about what's not good, what's scary, what's wrong. And it's important to stay aware and awake and to know what's happening in the world. And I believe we have to balance that or else we will be paralyzed.
Oh my gosh. Yes. 1,000,000%. I agree. Yeah.
And one of the most valuable things I've ever heard on this podcast was the story of Helen Arteaga Landaverde. You should definitely go listen to that episode if you haven't. She tells this story of her father teaching her to take care of her own backyard and the massive cultural impacts of her starting small and close to home are something that I hear echoed in your story and that I try to remind myself every day of. What can we do right here, right now?
I love that.
It's the only way the change happens.
Yeah. And sometimes it's the only thing you can do. Like when the problems are so big, all you can do is focus on your nucleus of control. So yeah.
And to do what you did, which is to say, what resources do I have in abundance?
Yeah.
So you had flowers.
Yeah.
You had paper. You had markers. You had a free Instagram account.
Yeah. That's so true. Yeah. I love that.
What can I do with what I have? Yeah. Well, I am just so freaking happy that we had this conversation and that we're so grateful for all the art that you shared at Uplifters Live.
Thank you for spreading the love. Like that was so fun.
Absolutely. We all need all the love we can get right now. So thank you for being a beacon.
Thank you. Thank you for seeing that in me. It really means the world to me. So thank you.
Thank you for listening to the Uplifters podcast. If you're getting a boost from these episodes, please share them with the uplifters in your life and then join us in conversation over at theuplifterspodcast.com. Head over to Spotify, Apple Podcast, or wherever you get your podcast and follow, and rate our show. It'll really help us connect with more uplifters, and it'll ensure you never miss one of these beautiful stories. Mwah! Big love.
Painted water sunshine with rosemary and thyme. Dwell in the perplexing, though you find it vexing. Toss a star and hover, be your own best lover. Relish in a new prime, plant a tree in springtime. Dance with idle hindsight, bring the sun to twilight. Lift you up, whoa. Lift you up, whoa. Lift you up, whoa. Lift you up. Lift you up, whoa. Lift you up, whoa. Lift you up, whoa. Lift you up.
Beautiful.
I cried. It's that little thing you did with your voice.
Right, in the pre-chorus, right?
I was like...
Mommy,
I had to cry quietly.
Mommy, stop crying. You're disturbing the peace.